everyone, it's Dave. Welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for watching. It's actually been quite a while since my last video. I've done a few live streams lately, one on this channel, live streaming the most recent Return to Launch, which was extremely exciting for Rocket Lab. Another one on Vince's channel doing his Rocket Lab Weekly. But in terms of, my regular videos that I try to put out once every 3 days or so, it's been quite a while. Sorry about that. I've just kind of been feeling a little bit burned out lately. I know I got back from vacation just not that long ago, but yeah, I've been renovating my basement, hoping to be able to rent that out in the near future, which would be a big help with the old mortgage. And then, of course, doing YouTube and my day job, my 9 to 5, which I do still have because YouTube is nowhere close to supporting my entire, life. So between all those things, plus then I've got wedding planning going on, getting married next year, and just the rest of day-to-day life. YouTube's taken a little bit of a backseat over the last week or so, but I am back with another video. I can't believe 2023 is pretty much already in the rearview mirror. We're getting close to the end of the year, and I thought a good quick video to make would be taking a look at my personal year in review and seeing how I did. Now, this is going to be on my personal returns on the stock market, what trades I made, how I did myself, and also looking at the YouTube channel, how things went on here. And if you are watching, you're definitely contributing to that, so thank you so much. Now, I know this might not be as interesting as some of my regular videos to some of you guys. This is probably not going to be a very good performing video, but hopefully some of you will find it interesting taking a look at the back end of, how I'm actually performing in the stock market and what's going on with the channel. How has it been growing, and what's it like being a creator? What do you see on the back end in terms of the revenues? I'll show you guys all that information and the channel growth, subscriber growth, all that. We can take a look at it together. So if you are interested in that, let's go ahead and take a look. If not, then no worries. I'll see you in the next video. I'm sure I'll be covering space companies and Rocket Lab very soon for you. So let's go ahead and jump in. Okay, so here we are in the main account. I try not to keep any secrets from you guys. If I'm going to tell you what I'm doing in the stock market, I think you deserve to know, how well it works out. So cumulative performance year to date has actually been absolutely amazing. We are up over 100%, so that is over a double this year. It's been an amazing year. Very grateful for the performance, very happy with how things have gone for myself and the overall markets. Hopefully you guys have also enjoyed great returns over this period. Really depends on what stocks you're holding. Obviously, it wasn't being driven by Rocket Lab because it's pretty flat over this period, but definitely some other stocks really performed well. The big one for my portfolio is Tesla. Of course, that's also partly because it had such a horrendous 2022. And a lot of this was making up for that. That's why I want to zoom out next, because anyone can show you a specific period in their portfolio's performance and say, look how good I'm doing. But I think it's important to zoom out and look at the wider context. So we can see here on a 3-year basis, if I annualize the returns, I'm averaging just 7.28% per year. Now, perhaps not amazing, especially considering we just saw I have 100% plus returns over the past year. That just goes to show how difficult a time my portfolio did have over the previous 2 years, namely, of course, Rocket Lab with the drops, although I'm pretty much flat on that, no big losses there. Tesla, which I have held for a very long time, was awful. It went from about $300 per share down to below $100 per share. It was a very large holding for my portfolio, which is obviously devastating, needless to say. I don't know if you've gone through a period like that, but it's very tough. And luckily, Tesla's back to pretty much where it was. And, I did have the conviction that I thought it would come back eventually. I know this isn't really a Tesla channel, but it really did influence to an oversized extent the movement of my portfolio over the past year, 3 years plus. I have been trying to take some moves to address that, kind of bring down my Tesla exposure a little bit, not because I don't like the stock, but just because I want it to be, the weighting has to be right with how you want to structure your own portfolio. So more on that later, but 3 years, 7.28%. Not thrilled with that return, considering that's kind of what I would expect an index fund, a couch potato portfolio to get. But in the wider context of the overall markets, the tightening interest rates, dealing with COVID and this whole crash we've had, everything that's gone on over the past 3 years, how down I was at certain times, 7.28% per year, it's okay. I'm okay with it considering what has happened in the broader scheme of things, and I'm very much more optimistic about the future now as we're looking towards rate cuts in 2024. Very excited about that and what it'll mean for the overall markets. Definitely tired of the tightening rate environment. Hasn't been very fun for me, at least, investing in tech growth stocks, in space stocks, and all the rest. The retirement account has a lot more safe companies in it. It's been very much more steady. Last 12 months, it's up 18%, which is still nothing to scoff at, although it's definitely not, plus 100%. But it is well above my annual target set here, a very conservative, just to show on the chart, a 6% annual target, which is this blue line, and my retirement account portfolio performance is the purple here. So just slightly underperforming the S&P 500 total return index, but it is well outperforming the TSX, Toronto Stock Exchange index, which is, the more direct comparison for Canadian investors. Zooming out on the retirement account, last 3 years, again, 21.4%. If you annualize that, we're probably looking at less than I have done on my other account. But it's pretty comparable, so it's funny because this is the safe stuff and the other account is the more aggressive individual stock picking, trying to do well, although it does also have some dividends in there, which I can talk about some of the dividends I've received as well. They have averaged out over this lumpy period to be pretty close together, even though at different times they have diverged dramatically. We've seen, periods where my growth stuff has just gone through the roof and the other stuff has been very slow, and periods where the growth stuff has just absolutely crashed and this stuff has, dropped but been much more safe and secure. So having those two things, I think, does help keep me a little more grounded and safe, although definitely props to you if you're one of those people out there, one of those mad lads who's able to just go 100% in on a certain stock or only on 2 stocks, like Vince, if you watch this. You, I guess, have the cojones, my friend, being able to, put so much into single companies, but that goes back to conviction and being able to wait for the long term. Some trades I did make this past year, so I sold several Apple shares throughout various instances, mainly to buy Rocket Lab, I believe, because I wanted to add more Rocket Lab, and I didn't have any cash available. Again, that renovation in the basement really killing the income, allowing me to add new cash into the market. Basically, I've just been keeping the same amount, and what I save from my day job and the rest just has been going into more the renovation side of things lately, which is a little frustrating. But yeah, so I sold some Apple to buy some things that I wanted to buy. Apple to me has been a little bit slow on the innovation. They've more just been iterating their iPhone every year and stuff like that. They're not as exciting to me as they used to be, so I sold some of them. Time will tell if that was a mistake. Bought some Planet Labs. Obviously, I'm still down on that right now, although I do think that stock has bottomed lately. I did sell my Palantir. I just didn't know enough about this company, and I decided to take some gains on it. Just wanted to kind of concentrate my portfolio more into companies I knew better. So yeah, I could have had a better return on Palantir if I'd held on longer, clearly, but I did in the end do okay on it, considering I did just buy it back before I really did all my due diligence on my investments. And this was back in the days when I would just YOLO into a company because I thought it sounded interesting. Again, some more Rocket Lab buys. I sold out of my Shopify. Did okay on that one. Again, I just wanted to concentrate my portfolio more and move out of companies I know less about. Tattooed Chef. This was probably my worst investment in forever. Bought this one around the hype, kind of YOLO'd into it. It was a SPAC as well. Definitely regret that. Luckily, it was a relatively small position for me, but when I sold out, it was basically worth nothing, and the company at least looks like it was headed to bankruptcy. Kind of got hyped into it a little bit, and I think I've learned a lot from those mistakes. This goes back to, say, I think it was like 2020-ish, maybe 2021, when the stock market was flying so high, everything was just shooting straight up. I just felt like I had money I could throw around anywhere, and I find where you make the most mistakes is not at the lows when you're feeling poor, when you don't feel like you have tons of cash available. You make your mistakes when you're feeling rich and the market is up, and you're like, oh, I feel like I can afford to throw $5,000 in that stock or $3,000 in that stock. What's the big deal? And then when the market collapses, you realize, wow, that was a big deal. I could really use that, $5,000. But definitely think I've learned from that, become a better investor over the past couple of years, and it was a relatively cheap lesson, all things considered. So yeah, that was definitely a bad one. When I sold out of, I made a little decent return on that. It is a casino stock. I ran the wheel on that one, which, if you're not too familiar with options, basically means just making money off the time decay, value decay on options, on puts and calls. So basically sold it for what I paid for it, and over the course of the year, I did receive a bunch of money in puts and calls premiums, and turned out pretty well overall. So, pretty significant number of trades, really, as I did try to restructure my portfolio and get rid of some of these companies I didn't want anymore, didn't know as much about, and move into, a more concentrated portfolio where still has some diversification, but I feel good and knowledgeable about everything I do hold, and I don't have that company sitting there where I'm like, I don't really know much about them. So definitely made some changes. Options, I do have fun doing some option trades. It's obviously an extremely minor part of my portfolio. It doesn't move the needle a whole ton usually for me, but I do have fun doing it, and do find I can make a bit of extra cash quite often as I do it on companies I know really well. So can see I made $100 back in April selling Rocket Lab puts, which is basically giving someone the right to force me to buy Rocket Lab at a certain price. Rocket Lab did not drop below that price, so they had no reason to force me to make that trade, and I just received the $100 cash. Similar thing. Now this one was a call option where I was feeling Rocket Lab was very undervalued, due for a move. And it was kind of a YOLO trade, whatever, we'll see what happens. Paid about $500, got about $970. I was looking for a double on it. I almost got a double, so that was a very successful trade. Again, not a huge amount of money in the greater scheme of things, but it was fun for me. Thought it was like, a way to make a little content around the channel as well. And what can I say? I enjoy these risky gamble trades with very small amounts of money, making sure that I keep the rest of my portfolio safer. We did more puts for Rocket Lab, made another $150, and then we were selling covered calls on Tesla. Now, as I said previously, I was looking to reduce my Tesla position, not because I don't believe in the company, but just because I think it's weighting too heavily on my portfolio. And, it is a volatile company, and when it moves like it did, dropping from 300 to 100, it just has a massive outsized impact, and I wanted to bring it into a reasonable weighting that I thought would work well with my portfolio and the volatility of the company. So, but I did want to sell it at a certain price, which it wasn't at yet, because I thought that was the value that I should receive for it. So I started selling some covered calls, which basically means if it hits a price or goes above it, that's what I sell it for. So if I sell a covered call for $270 per share, then when it executes, the stock price is worth $280. I only get $270 for it. But for that trade, I get money up front. And if it doesn't hit that $270, then I keep the shares and I get that upfront money. So this one here, I received just $600. It was not triggered, but it was kind of a distant stretch, so I didn't get as much money for it. Did it again, got $840 for it as the stock was moving up and getting closer to that mark I wanted to sell it at. At this point, the stock moved up quite a lot and was pretty much right at where I wanted to sell it, but I sold the covered call anyway. Got a huge premium, really, $5,565, which is great. The stock did drop and I didn't get triggered. So on the one hand, I was almost frustrated, like, okay, I'm trying to unload this stock here. But on the other hand, I just kept getting these premiums, which was kind of nice to see because it really cost me nothing in the end of the story. And then we did it again, got $2,900 at 300 call. That also expired. Did it again in September, $275, $3,400, and that expired. So we're talking some serious dough here from these Tesla covered calls. Now I'm looking to sell another one as it approaches that 275 mark. Now I think we're at 250-ish. And, hopefully eventually I do unload it, but until I do, I'm more than happy to receive these premiums. One final one here. Oh, sorry, this was Win down here where I sold a covered call and did pretty well on that. So $1,000 for Win before I finally did sell that company. So those are kind of the options trades I did make in my portfolio, as well as some of the actual trades I made. Hopefully that wasn't too dry for you. You found it somewhat interesting. Let me know what moves you made in your portfolio over the past year. I'll definitely be interested to hear down in the comments below. What was your best move? What was your worst move? I know, I admitted my horrible trade on TTCF. I know we all have them. And hopefully your good ones outweigh the bad, as they pretty much have for me. So now let's talk about YouTube, which has been quite a journey for me, very interesting. Hopefully you find it somewhat interesting to have a bit of a behind-the-scenes look. Before we dive into that, though, I thought I would talk a little bit about the context behind me starting this channel, which is basically, I felt like I'd reached a point in my career, in my 9-to-5 job, where there wasn't really anywhere to go upwards without entering management, and I wasn't sure that I wanted to enter management, and I was just thinking about the prospect of having to deal with a ton of extra work and stress for maybe I can eke out like a $10,000 pay increase or something like that, and is that really worth it? Plus, I would have to probably go through a lot of training, go through the whole interview process a lot of times. And then I thought, well, maybe if I spend that time focusing on my investing as well as starting a YouTube, that will make me as much or more as working so hard to try and push forward the 9-to-5 career, and the investing in YouTube I might find more interesting and fun. So that's kind of the history behind that. And then with YouTube, I thought a cool goal would, obviously, I just want to have fun, meet new people, and have interesting conversations, learn a lot along the way, which I have done. In terms of financially, I thought a cool goal would be, say, earning $500 a month off of YouTube. At that point, it would become, a pretty solid little side hustle for me. I never expected it to be some kind of a get-rich-quick thing, but I thought, $500 a month, that's like getting a promotion basically, right? So that was the decision I made. I decided I was just happy at my current job. I'd stay with it. It's a good job. And I would focus on other things outside of that to kind of progress financially instead of just trying to, continue to climb that ladder for returns that didn't really seem worth it to me. So that's what I was thinking when I started the YouTube. Obviously, it's been a long time to get to where we are today. This has been year 2, really, almost year 2 at this point. We're not quite a full 2 years, I believe, but in case you're curious, I did make about $1,299. If that does sound pretty cool to you, doing this from home, making videos, you make $1,300. Yeah, sure, that's cool. But I also did buy a new webcam, buy a new microphone and some other equipment, and I probably spent tons. I mean, I know I spent tons of hours on this, a lot of hours. So if you think about how many hours I spent on this, I'm way below minimum wage at this point, but it's still been pretty fun. It's been cool to do. I've had a lot of interesting conversations. I've learned a lot and met some cool people. And I do know for a fact that because I'm making the videos, I do more research than I would have done if I'm just doing my own investing and I don't have to explain it in a video. The fact that I need to explain a decision-making process when I make a trade helps me to do the due diligence that really I should do anyway. So I think from that point of view, it's also been very good, and it's been rewarding for all those other reasons. You guys who do watch are absolutely amazing. Financially, we're not there yet, but we're making some progress, obviously. I did gain 2,800 subscribers in the last 365 days, so that's 190% growth over the previous 365 days. Pretty solid. I'm not seeing, a massive swing up or anything like that. We're not talking like explosive growth. I see some channels, they get like 20,000 subscribers on the first video, and I just think to myself, how does this happen? Definitely hasn't been my experience, but it's been like a steady growth. You can't really see on the chart the views here like a massive exponential growth, but I think if you zoom out, I've done okay for myself. So pretty pleased with these numbers overall. 206% more views than the previous 365 days. That first year is the toughest. I've got to say, the first year is the hardest because you don't really have that relationship with some of your viewers yet. You're making a video, you don't know if anyone's going to watch it. You don't know if it's going to be watched more than the amount of time you spent making it, and that can be a little demotivating. And then of course you're not monetized yet, so you're just spending your time for free on it, and that can be demotivating too. So I'm happy that I've gotten to this point where I have you guys I can talk to, and I love you guys. And yeah, we're making a little bit of money, obviously not at that $500 per month mark, but lately over the past few months, I'm starting to get, $150 plus a month now. So we're making progress. Maybe this is my question, next year, am I going to grow 193% from what I did this year? Or is it just going to be more steady? It feels lately like it's just been kind of steady growth, like I'm averaging maybe, 7-8 subscribers a day on average, and that's just kind of steady. It doesn't feel like it's continuing to rise, but maybe that's just because I'm too zoomed in. So my question is, am I going to be next year plus another 2.8 thousand subscribers, which would put me, maybe 6,000, maybe 5,000 something? Or am I going to be plus 193% subscribers from what I have right now? Because then I'd be even higher. So I guess my question is this a compounding growth where the bigger you get, it's a percentage basis, or is it just kind of like a steady growth? I guess we'll see next year. Hoping for that second one, but I think it'd be a cool milestone to hit 5,000 subscribers. The interesting thing with my channel, though, and I very much have you guys to thank, the ones who are actually watching this video, I do very well for the number of subscribers I have, in my opinion. So I see other channels that have maybe 3 times my subscriber base, and their videos seem to be getting like the same number of views I am. So that's really cool because I think I have amazing engagement on the subscribers I do have, and I thank you guys so much for that. It's really amazing to see when I see channels with like 10,000 plus subscribers and they're getting the same amount of views I do from under 4,000. Yeah, I can't thank you guys enough, and I've learned a lot from you in the comments over the past year as well. I've had some very touching comments from people that have meant a lot to me. So yeah, if you leave a comment, sometimes I don't always reply to them all. Sometimes, you know, I'm busy and things stress me out, but I often do read them, and they do mean a lot to me, those positive ones for sure. So top videos we had for the year, why Rocket Lab's Neutron will be amazing, I think it was. This one was just going over all the cool features on Neutron. I spent a lot of time on this video, so nice to see it did the best. I grabbed so much footage showing how the rocket would work and did the, you know, wrote the script, put it all together. Number 2 was the one about kind of Chamath bad-talking Rocket Lab. So this was more of a I guess indignant kind of video, and I can see why people clicked on that one because it's like, how dare you bad talk Rocket Lab. Yeah, so interesting. Coming up at 4 and 5, we have videos with Jeff Bezos on the front. I didn't think that would happen. He's obviously, you know, I think some people maybe love to hate him in the space industry. We were talking about how Blue Origin might be ending up buying ULA, and also why I do hope that Neutron will end up launching some Kuiper satellite constellation eventually. So yeah, it was interesting to see which videos performed the best, and I was really surprised this ULA sale rumor performed as well as it did, because usually when I make a non-Rocket Lab video, it's, you know, in the bottom 5 out of 10 type thing. It's like the bottom 50 percentile of numbers I get. But this one, yeah, not Rocket Lab related, and number 5 out of 5, which is, you know, pretty good. Number 5 video on the year. So pretty pleased with that one, because although I do love Rocket Lab, I don't want to get just like stuck in only the one company, and I do like talking about other things. And with this channel, you know, Rocket Lab's only so big, and I do wonder if I'm like getting towards the, you know, maxing out the niche, basically. There's not that many retail space investors out there, and when I don't talk about space companies, I don't get a lot of engagement. That's why I don't talk about Tesla very much, even though it's a big part of my portfolio, and, you know, other companies that are of interest to me. I do still love space, but yeah, I do wonder with this channel how much legs it has in terms of the niche it's in, whether I should make video on other topics as well. But then it's tough because it doesn't tend to do as well, because a lot of my subscribers are looking for, you know, certain content. In terms of regrets, I do think, you know, when I originally started the channel, it wasn't going to be covering space, and that sort of just evolved. And there was a point in the year where I was like, okay, should I just stop making anything not related to space? And I decided I would, because that's what people seem to enjoy watching from me. But I do miss some of those folks I had conversations with where we would talk about just the overall stock market and non-space related things. You know, guys I don't see around the Discord as much anymore. Kind of sad about that, but I think it was probably the right decision for the channel at the time, because there's nothing more demotivating than really researching a video and thinking it's really high quality, spending a lot of time on it, and, you know, nobody watches it because, you know, it's not the topic that's of interest to them. So kind of sad, some names I don't see so much anymore, and I do enjoy those conversations about the wider market and non-space companies as well, and making different trades and, you know, options trades or whatever that we used to have more of. Maybe I don't know if I can somehow bring that back a little bit while still maintaining the space fan crowd. We'll have to see what next year brings. Love to hear if you guys have any ideas about the future of the channel and things I should talk about. Obviously, I'm going to keep covering space industry, space stocks, and Rocket Lab. But yeah, well, I'm not entirely sure what the future will bring. I guess we'll just have to wait and see. Yeah, estimated revenue. So as I said, for the past month, we're now looking at 173. So it's getting towards that initial goal I had. I mean, we're not even halfway there yet, and it's been 2 years. So definitely been a longer road than I thought it would be. I should have known better. I should have known, not everyone just makes their first video and just hits it big. But I'm happy with the progress, and it's working towards a nice little side gig for me, something that I enjoy a lot and learn a lot from. So I'm definitely not complaining about the earnings, just kind of sharing my thoughts with you. And then the channel members, I have to thank you guys so much. I only launched this pretty recently. I wasn't sure if I should. The kind of back end YouTube kept saying, giving me notifications, you should turn on channel memberships. I wasn't sure if I had a lot of value to offer channel members. And to be honest, this is mostly just a voluntary, I want to buy Dave a drink situation once a month. I think of it as like buying me a beer if you appreciate the videos I make, because there isn't a ton of, restricted content in here. I try to just tell everyone everything up front if you're watching the video. I mean, even if you're not a member and you're watching the video, I do appreciate it. So I don't like hide a lot and only show channel members. It's more of just they're doing it out of the goodness of their hearts, I guess. And yeah, this also encourages me to keep going, even though in terms of subscriber numbers, I'm still a very, very small channel. So yeah, these guys are contributing on a monthly basis right now, and thanks every one of you so much. Often you guys are commenting regularly and that kind of stuff as well. When it comes to supers, I also thank all you guys. I think I try to always respond to every single one, but in terms of the super chats, whenever you guys do it, I love it so much, especially when it's live stream and I get to talk to you in real time. But yeah, if you're one of the names on this list, then I do appreciate your super chats. I remember Russell tends to super chat as well. I don't know why he didn't show up here, but that's another name that sticks out to me. Obviously, Parth, just a legend, always drops me a casual $2, very much appreciated. Then John, 25, I guess that was the biggest we've had. Man on Mars, definitely appreciate you, sir. Ghost Eye, also a channel member, so contributing both ways, and you guys are the best. Help me to want to keep going, especially those days when, maybe you just don't feel like making a video, or you're working on one that's a little bit of a slog to get through. So yeah, the comments, the supers and members, really what keeps me going. So yeah, thank you guys so much for that. Well, I really thought this was going to be just a quick short video, an easy one to get out, and I've ended up prattling on and on for quite a while. But yeah, I definitely wanted to thank everyone who watches. So I hope you found this interesting. Again, I don't think this video is going to get a ton of traction, but maybe you've been interested to see a little glimpse of what it's like on the back end for YouTube creators, and you can take a look at my portfolio and see how I've done over the past year. Do let me know down in the comments how you've done in the past year. Be sure to gloat over me if you've outperformed me over the past few years. Nothing wrong with that. I do enjoy some good competition as well. I'm a very competitive guy, so I always like to compare returns with people and stuff like that. Thanks so much for watching, you guys, and I will see you in the next video. I hope you have a great holiday season. I hope you've had a great 2023 and onward to a 2024 where we have lowering interest rates finally. Whew, we made it through the tightening cycle. See you in the next video. Bye.